Now, as promised, as we observe the rest of the Easter long weekend, there is a growing concern over the heightened risk of ATM fraud as well as card scamming targeting unsuspecting individuals. Now, criminals often take advantage of this increased holiday spending season to steal your hard-earned money from all consumers. So what can you do to protect yourself from this practice? For this discussion, as promised, we do have Siphumelele Zondi, producer of SABC's network program. Siphumelele, greetings. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, can we look at financial crimes in general? I mean, there is a spike in such scams, ranging from ATM scams that you speak of to the more digital crimes that include, of course, your laptop, as well as the people that call you pretending to be a bank. How prevalent are these scams, and which industries or modus operandi do the scammers use?
It's actually various methods. So you did before the break speak about ATM scams. So those are still your old school methods where you might find that the scammers are standing too close to people. There's a device that they would insert into the slot for the card where you put in your card. And in that particular case, if it's too difficult to put your card into the ATM, just don't do it. Move to another ATM because in all likeliness there is something that's going to clone your card over there. And if someone pretends that they're working for the bank and they walk out of the bank with a machine and they say you need to swipe on that machine for whatever reason, again, refuse. Rather go inside the bank, find out if there is such a thing that's going on, and if you really must swipe on this device and what you're swiping for, because again, that could be someone who's trying to skim or clone your card, because there's both skimming and cloning, and where they basically are trying to get your details. And then there are various online scams that are doing their own, especially now that we are doing a lot of transactions online, where you might find that you get an SMS with a link and it says it's from your bank, and there's information that they need to verify, but you first need to click on the link, and you find that you click on the link and then they ask you various details, and you type in those details, your information is gone, and they've taken your information through that manner. Or someone might call saying they're from a call center from the bank, and they might know a few details about you, and they would ask you to verify certain information, maybe finish off the number that's on your bank card or your bank account, finish that off for them, or maybe finish off your ID number for them. And again, unless you are completely sure it's the bank, and sometimes there is no way. If you're in doubt, don't give anyone over the phone those details if they are saying that they're from the bank, because that could be a scammer as well. So there are various methods, and also phone hackings are other methods where they're just trying to figure out what's going on in your device. And as you're doing your banking, they can see that you're doing your banking.
You know what I found interesting, Siphumelele, I had another conversation on a different show, and you know, the expert there was saying that you know, they target almost anybody. You and I can even be those victims. But what I found interesting is that these scammers actually groom you know, the likely target or intended victim. So I just want to understand, how do people then curtail access to their personal information that you just spoke to in your previous answer? I mean, how can we protect ourselves against giving too much information on our social media accounts so that these scammers don't even get that information about us?
There are various methods that they get information. Sometimes it's not even you who would be at fault. It might be the places where you have accounts where you find that there are individuals within those places who are selling details. There's something called the dark web as well, where it could be a marketplace in the dark web where they are. It's a place that you and I can't gain access to unless you've been given a link by somebody who's part of that particular marketplace to say, if you click here, you end up in this particular place. And in the dark web, then they trade certain details of various individuals, and they figure out who and the information that they have, and then they get your details sometimes in that particular manner. And also, as I say, they wouldn't really have all your details. The rest of it is you finishing it off for them and giving you the rest of the details that they could be missing. So if someone calls and says, I'm missing this information, I'm from your bank, finish it off for me, just say goodbye, and then maybe find the right number for the bank, call them, find out if they did really try to call you. And in all likeliness, you'll find that they didn't.
Very interesting as well. Siphumelele, when we talk about, the ease of access to technology these days, I mean, we're doing everything on our phones as well as on apps. Cell phone numbers that are getting, of course, stolen, and, people sending money requests on WhatsApp have become quite prevalent. But I want us to talk about how difficult it is to prosecute or even identify these scammers, leading to our law enforcement authorities actually not being able to deal with such cases. I mean, police of fraud prevention or fraud prevention bodies rather, do they even have enough resources for such crimes? The bank will tell you they've handed your matter over to their fraud prevention or investigating unit. And the police will give you a case number so that if you are lucky enough to have insurance, you can go there and claim. But where then do people go to get recourse when they've been scammed?
Well, that's the problem, right? Because you find that some of the scammers are not even in this particular country, because scammers could be all over the world, especially when it comes to online. It might be easier in a case where you can identify the people at the ATM because there's a camera above the ATM and the faces are visible, and you know that it's an individual you can identify. It's more difficult when it comes to the more online crimes, especially when the dark web is being used, because people don't have access to that, especially as a lot of these fraudsters are not even on the African continent. They're in other continents, and they use social engineering across borders and across continents in order to find information. So it does become difficult for scammers to be prosecuted and for a lot of these crimes to actually be stopped, because there's a lot of social engineering that is done in secret, where they also know they can't be identified because they don't really do a lot of these crimes in the country of the people that they are scamming. They might be in a call center very far away from the people that they're scamming, and they might be selling details from a place that is very far away from the place where there are people that they're scamming. And also, when it comes to a lot of crimes that use technology, you do find that technology moves faster than law. Law eventually catches up, but when it catches up, you find that the criminals who use these methods would have moved on to something else. So technology moves very fast, but the law does not move as fast.
Very quickly, Siphumelele, before I let you go, what are some of the easiest protection mechanisms that we as consumers can then apply, to be more vigilant against these scams?
I would say that your 2 or 3 tier authentication when it comes to the stuff that you're doing online, right? Where you might find that you ask for a PIN, you ask for the face, and you ask for the fingerprint, and maybe sometimes they even ask for a pattern. So there is more than one method, because you might find that if they get hold of the PIN, it's very difficult for them to find, for example, your fingerprint, or they will not clone your face, for example. And also, sometimes it's the basics, as we've been saying throughout this conversation. Just don't finish off the details to just about anybody who gives you a call and says, finish off these details for me. Again, don't click on links unless you know, even if they're from your friends, because what you sometimes find is that your friends have been hacked, and because they're hacked, their devices are sending messages to just about every contact they have, hoping that they're going to strike it lucky with certain individuals. So call your friend, find out if, hey, did you just just sent a link to me and what's in the link. And if your friend says, yes, I have sent a link and this is what's in the link, then maybe you're okay. But if you are unsure, and don't click on any link, because that could be sending you down a dark hole where you might end up losing a lot of money.
Thank you so much for that. And the latest one has, of course, been that you delete all those money-related apps on your phone if you want to go and do your banking. Siphumelele, thank you so much for your input. Siphumelele Zondi, the producer of SABC's network program.